Remember when I told you I would show you my failures? Well, that's what we're fixing to do. These are my prime arc freedoms. I had a complete failure of the ones I planted last year. Now I know some of you planted some on my recommendation, even though I said I don't know what, how good they're going to be. You planted on my recommendation, and before you jump off the ledge, step back, step away from it. Come on, a little closer. Come here. One more step back. Okay. Step away from the ledge. Let me explain why I think they all died. One of probably four reasons. It could have been gophers and moles. I'm going to rule that out and say I don't think so. It could have been that I didn't plant deep enough in the mulch. The mulch was real tall at that point, and I didn't quite get down to the soil in a few places. But since I know I did in a few places and I had a complete failure, I'm going to rule that out. But that could be a factor. I didn't have my drip irrigation last summer. I watered, but not regularly like I should. But I don't think that was it either, because I showed you an update in the fall. I was going to look and see exactly when it was, but if I remember right, it was in the fall, and they all look pretty dadgum good, right? Well, there's a fourth option, and I believe that is what did it. And some of you are going to say, I told you not to use chemicals. I used something called chaparral to kill off that one row. I killed a row to plant. I killed a row of prime gems to plant the prime arc freedoms. And I didn't want to mix it in. One of them's thorned, this is obviously thornless. So I didn't want them to intermingle with each other. I didn't want to have to worry about them coming back. The chaparral is supposed to kill blackberries, and it did. Back on the back of my pasture, I had lots of them in the pasture, which is not where you want them. And as far as I know, they're gone. And what I was shooting for back there, it did a good job on some nightshade that was just taking over, and blackberries. Did a great job on that. But I also used it to kill my prime gems so I could plant these. Well, I just read on there, and it really doesn't mention blackberries specifically, but it does say leave an 18-month period, withdrawal period. So I'm thinking that I planted these freedoms a little too early, that I did not give it the withdrawal. And the reason being, each and every one of them are just rotted off. Of course they were sitting in mulch, and I just would when I saw they looked like they were dead, I just pulled them, just touched them with my fingers and pulled them up, and each one of them just pulled out like that. Nothing. They had, all the roots were just rotted off. So I'm going to say I did it with my, with using these chemicals. I didn't know any other way to make sure I'd kill the blackberries. Roundup really won't kill them. But anyway, so this is what I have. But let me show you what I did to solve the problem. I went ahead and planted that whole row yet again with prime arc freedoms. I still believe in them. I still think they're going to do well. I only had 10 plants at first, and that's the big plants you see, that one and that one. The smaller plants I ordered about a month ago, or got about a month ago, and they were the plugs. The large plant here were the ones I showed you. They're bare root, but they had a huge root system. And the others came with kind of a plug, like the Travelers, Prime Arc Travelers did. But this is the row. Now, in my mind, it has been long enough that this shouldn't be a problem. But what I did, just to make sure, was instead of planting in the dirt that could be still exposed to the chaparral, I dug a pretty good sized hole, a shovel a wide hole. I filled it with potting soil and compost, mixed it to where I was planting that plant in not in the dirt that could have some chemical residue in it. I planted it in the I gave it I insulated the roots with potting soil, compost, whatever. It's going to take it a while for those roots to get out of that and to go into the soil, which still might be somewhat contaminated. It's been about a year and a half, so I don't think so. I think we're okay. But those, you know, the ones I just showed you that were dead, one of them was 8 feet long. They really grew. They grew all year long. They grew for about 9 months. I planted them in the spring, and in the fall they look great. But during the winter, something happened, and they just they petered out. So this is my Primark Freedom row, and as you can see, it looks pretty doggone good. And so anyway, I'm still a believer. I've got one that didn't make it, and it was one of the plugs. I didn't like those plugs. They just I don't know. I wasn't really happy with the way the plugs looked. I wish they'd have sent me the bare roots like the first time. This is one of those bare root plants, and gosh, man, those things have gone crazy. That one up there is 3 feet tall, and I got several of them 2.5 feet tall. And then I've got the Primark Travelers. These were all the little plugs I showed you. And so this is my row of Travelers. So in my berry field, which has still got 7 rows, I've got a row of Arapaho. Very first row is Arapaho, Prime Jan, Prime Jan, Prime Jim, Prime Jim. Then I've got Traveler and Freedom. My plan is still to kill off a row a year and plant either Traveler or either the Traveler or the Freedom. I'm not sure which one I'll do yet. I may look at comments from other people and see which one they like best, or just see what how vigorous they are. So far the Primark Freedoms are much more vigorous, but they had a huge root system, a whole lot better than that little old plug had. So these are starting to do pretty well. These are the Travelers that came in the plug, and just a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago, they just didn't look like much at all. I was really wondering if they was going to do anything, and they've probably grown a foot in the last 2 weeks. So and then I mulched them real good. That probably helped also. There was a lot of grass around them and stuff. I weeded that out, and then mulched them real heavy. And a couple of them I may have mulched too heavy. I got a couple of them that still, well, here's what they look like. When I say they didn't look like much a couple of weeks ago, that's pretty much what they look like. I'll get the grass out of the way. It just sat there. That's what it looked like when I planted it. That's what it looks like right now. I got 2 of them like that. The rest of them are doing pretty doggone good, coming up, and are doing well. But I just wanted to show you the Freedoms and tell you about my failure. Tell you that I do believe, 99% sure, it's my own dadgum fault for not reading label directions. And I don't know how I will kill off the rest of them when I say I'm gonna kill one row a year to accommodate one row a year of the thornberries to accommodate the thornless. I'm not sure how I'll do it. I may just after they get through putting out berries, and as you can see, I've got some real nice ones. This is Jim, Prime Jim. After they get through putting off berries, I may just kill this irrigation row and just let them dry up, and it might kill them. it might. If not, I may have to just mow them down and mow them down and mow them down until they just get the hint. I don't know that I'll use the spray on them because that's just going to be that much longer before I can plant anything else. Not averse to using the spray. I've just got to be careful. That's good. Doggone. I've already had about a half a pound of them today, just out here in the patch. But anyway, there's the new Freedoms, taking the place of the dead Freedoms. That sucker's well over 3 feet tall, and shoot, it's already got a berry on it. I got several of them on this row. Brand new plants just came up off that bare root that's got berries on them. It's amazing. So if you planted, I hope you're far enough back from the ledge right now that you're not going to slip and fall. If you planted Freedoms and were mad at me, don't get mad at me. I'm just doing, I replanted. I still believe in them. I still think it's going to be a good berry, so I replanted. And the die off of freedom, we see that a lot in this country, but the killing of freedom was my fault, I think, in this case. Not necessarily the country's case, but in this case. Okay, let me just drive up through here and I'll show you the rest of it. I got one more up here that was a, these are all plugs. The little ones were the plugs, and they just didn't look like much at all, and it took them a while. They're just now starting to catch on, but these tall ones, that's the one. Now I planted them about a month earlier, but that's the ones with the big root system, the bare roots. Boy, they did great. Plug, bare root, plug, bare root, plug. That is a thorn one that I didn't kill, so I sprayed it with WD-40. I don't want to use the chaparral anymore, so I sprayed it with WD-40 trying to kill it. It's got thorns on it. I don't know where you can see the thorns, but it's got thorns on it, and I don't want thorns. So, and then another plug, and then this one died. There was one in that hole there. Could be I mulched it with the mulch too close to it. I don't know. I just, like I say, I wasn't impressed with the plugs. So it could be that it was just a plug. A problem with the plugs. But anyway, I've been irrigating them real well. We've been getting a lot of rain, but dadgum, it looks good to me. That's my new, that's the new hope there. Traveler, freedom. Say amen for freedom. All right, we're gone.